Stonegate, I hope you feel that the Lord has put us here in this particular moment, at this particular corner, with this particular church family, with this particular set of leaders, with this particular stewardship. And we, as a church family, get to step into the very moment that God, before there was such a thing as Stonegate, before there was a city like Midlothian, before any of these things ever existed, that God had providentially arranged for this moment in 2024 to come about. And gosh, that does feel like such a sacred stewardship from the Lord.
If you heard that, just sit with that for 1 second. And here's why, because I do think there's a couple different ways you can go through life. One of just like, I don't live in a story. There's nothing really greater. Let me consume what I have. Let me just try to survive and safely make it, to old age.
Yeah.
So I think that's one story.
Yeah.
Or a story of going, man, there are high stakes.
Yes.
There's an adventure.
Yeah.
There is, there's possibility.
Yeah.
Like
This
I can be
moment
part
matters.
of something
Yeah.
that's really significant. Like that's not just Tolkien books.
Yep.
But there really is
You're
an
living
adventure right here.
Yeah.
That this is our day. We're made for it.
So true.
Stonegate Church, great to see you. We are excited to have another episode of Sunday Plus, Life Around Stonegate, whatever you want to call it this month. Just an opportunity for us to come and have a conversation with you and let you know about some of the incredible things going on around our church. So, in fact, there's some amazing stuff going on around our church. This been
Kind of a big week.
Yeah, one of the bigger weeks
yeah.
in a while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so wanted to get Rodney and Jimmy in with us today and just kind of talk through that. We had the launch, the kickoff, the start of our Follow Me initiative. And so this is a big moment for our church.
Yeah.
And, I really wanted to just have some conversation around that today, give some more just examples and information of what that's all about for our church and for us to just be able to comment on that and talk about that. And then even just open up personally what we're hoping to see the Lord do during this season. So,
you bet.
Rod, why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about Follow Me for those who weren't here on Sunday or what that's going to look like for us in the next month here.
Yep. Well, it was a huge Sunday in the life of our church and really just a wonderful Sunday. When I look back upon yesterday, I'm just filled with so much gratitude that the Lord has our church in this position right now, this moment that He is asking us to step into. And one thing, Stonegate, as you're just thinking about a Sunday that we just had like the one yesterday, this really is the fruit of now months and months of laying the groundwork, a lot of conversations, a lot of thought, a lot of prayer about what is in front of us as a church family. We started that slow process of meeting with people, doing all of that work back in the fall. So, in a lot of ways, it has been a marathon to get to a Sunday like this. And, when I think about Follow Me, it really is opening up the next season in the life of our church in some really beautiful ways. What happens over the next month in our church's life, it really does have decades back behind it of opening up ministry and life for us, as a church family, that I just am so eager and excited to see what all the Lord has in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when we were thinking about this, maybe if you guys can recall any details, what led us to want to call it Follow Me?
Yeah.
So at this particular moment where the Lord has our church, where we're going, and we'll get into some of the details of what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to see come out of that. But why that name?
Yep. So I love Follow Me because it's really connected to the main thing. So if Follow Me is a subject heading, the thing down below that it's followed or it's tethered to is that idea of Jesus cultivating faith in us. Which for those of you who are here, 6, 7, 8 years ago when we did All In, it's a very similar theme. These moments in the life of our church really do get tethered down to, connected to that huge theme of the Lord inserting that gap into our life. Here's something He is asking us to do, something God says on this side. Here's what we can see on this side. There's this huge gap between them, and here we are. It's a moment to grow in faith. So, I think more than anything, it is introducing a theme like that that's connected to that deep thing the Lord is doing in all of our lives of cultivating faith. And, Follow Me is just such a rich theme in the New Testament as you're seeing that play out, that it felt like the tethering of so many different things and bringing together of so many different things that just fit so well for this season. So,
and I think it also helps just broaden out that this is not a give us your money campaign.
Yep.
Right? that would be a really cynical way to think about what we have in front of us over the next weeks and then years ahead of us. What we're really saying is our pursuit of Jesus is connected to so many different areas of life. One of them is generosity, and that is the big thing out ahead of us as we're thinking about the expansion and all that. But really, there is something more at play here than just, man, we're just a nonprofit that needs some capital. It's like, no, this is what it feels like to be a Christian. It feels like pursuing Jesus wherever he's going to take us, and he's taking us places in our relationships with people. He's taking us places in our evangelism. He's taking us places with our pocketbooks, with our wallets, with our 401. He's taking us places everywhere, and we got to follow him wherever he's leading in any area of our life.
You know, the John 10:27 really has been the, if there's a capstone verse for follow me in the next 2 years, there it is. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. And that really is normative Christianity. It's really what we want to, as a church, develop just the habit of doing with the Lord. That's the posture we want to live with, that we have a good shepherd, we listen, and then we follow him. So I couldn't think of anything more valuable for a church to learn.
Yeah, you know, one thing that's really struck a chord with me too is it's a very clarifying statement and question as well. It's a clarifying thing for us to put before ourselves and with the Lord. In the last couple of years of life, and I just feel like even sometimes around the church, it can feel very chaotic or confusing, or there's just been all sorts of even cultural divide. And here comes a question of, but will you follow me? So will I listen to the voice of the Lord? Will I cut through a lot of that and clarifying, like, that's the thing at the end of the day that I really have to be willing to wrestle with and answer is, am I going to follow Jesus?
I love that question that we have tried to set before our people of, am I willing to follow Jesus even when it requires faith? And man, just getting to a yes to that question right there solves so much of just the issues of our life. If we can be a glad-hearted yes to that, so many things in the Christian life begin to be, they just have a way of simplifying for us. For sure. You know?
So let's talk about the particulars, though. So what does Follow Me entail? It's a 2-year generosity initiative. It's a campaign that we're doing. So we've talked about the heart behind it, the reason behind it, and even the hope behind it. But let's get into some of the things we're also wanting to accomplish and achieve.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, I'll take a stab. Then Jimmy, feel free to, and Ryan, y'all feel free to say anything else you want to around it. But it's essentially allowing us to do 3 things. It's allowing us to make deep disciples. That's a way of describing all of the ongoing work around Stonegate. So that's all of our church planting efforts that we are already doing. That's all of the disciple making efforts that we're doing in all of our different ministries. That's our kids ministry. That's our student ministry. That's our groups. That's our theological institute. That's all of our missions efforts. It's all of the things that we're already doing right now. So it's allowing us to do all of that. We do a one fund initiative, which means the next 2 years, that $15 million is covering and it's supplying all that we need to do the ongoing work of the next 2 years. So you could think about that as our ongoing budget or our ongoing ministry expenses to do the very things that God has called us to do as a church family. So it's going to allow us to do that, and then it's going to allow us to make more disciples and to make young disciples. And that now gets us to our building expansion moments where we're going to get to make more room for more people to hear about Jesus in our auditorium. We're going to get to see more people in our kids ministry meet the Lord and grow up in the Lord as we expand over into our current offices, as we enclose the patio. That's where a lot of our connections will be. And then we're going to get to add that student section over on the east side of our building so that we now have a great gathering spot for all of our students to know the Lord. And gosh, when I think about those areas of ministry, our kids ministry, our student ministry, that really is the place where the next generation of pastors, of missionaries, of faithful moms and dads are all going to be developed, is in those areas of ministry. I've been thinking about this a lot here recently of how, you know, the next pastor of Stonegate is probably a 6th or 7th grader right now. And that person, I hope, is in a place where they're being developed by the Lord, being called into these sort of things right now, because that's the sort of person the Lord's going to use in the days ahead. You know, so yeah. So yeah, anything else y'all want to add to that? But it's opening up the door for our church family to do all of those things over the next 2 years.
That's good.
So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's an opportunity, I think, for a lot of us just to, hopefully in our groups over the next couple of weeks or in conversations or with folks around the church, just to even catch a vision for what we'd love to see is the impact in the community. When I think about what's going on around us, the Lord has placed us where we are.
Yep.
The story is incredible. I hope a lot of you got to see the video we showed on Sunday that gave some of the history of Stonegate. But the Lord has providentially placed us right where we are. And there is an amazing opportunity that's right here in front of us over just the rest of this decade, but even the next couple decades to come.
Yeah, so true.
All the people that are coming.
Yep.
And I just love it. It fires me up to think about how we could be ready and proactive and set up to serve them and care for them, share the gospel with them, and also speak hope and just a life change into whatever they're going through or walking through.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah, one of the things that's encouraging for me to think about is just when you look at the data nationally about the church, maybe even the evangelical church, it's just, it can feel really disappointing. And like, man, I guess like things are just tanking, and but so it feels like such a shot in the arm that in this area of South Dallas, the Lord seems to be up to so many things in so many people's lives. I mean, we're constantly seeing folks baptized at Stonegate, folks coming to Christ at Stonegate. And then you just have the other stewardship responsibilities of people moving here and looking to find a church family. But I'm encouraged that in 2024, when you're looking at sort of like the national data and you're going, man, what's going on? It seems like, man, it's exciting to be in so much of the action and seeing the Lord be up to so many things here on the south side of Dallas.
Yeah, that's so true.
I couldn't agree
So
more.
true. And Ryan, to your point earlier, there really is a stewardship at the moment, isn't there? A friend of mine has been saying at his church, and it's really resonated with me that you are made for the day and the day is made for you. And Stonegate, I hope you feel that the Lord has put us here in this particular moment, at this particular corner, with this particular church family, with this particular set of leaders, with this particular stewardship. And we as a church family get to step into the very moment that God, before there was such a thing as Stonegate, before there was a city like Midlothian, before any of these things ever existed, that God had providentially arranged for this moment in 2024 to come about. And gosh, that does feel like such a sacred stewardship from the Lord, that he would see fit to entrust our church family with this particular moment. And that we now get to step into it with our whole hearts, our whole lives, and see what God has, for us on the other side of it. That feels like such a privilege.
It really does. Well, and I think that is so key because, and if you heard that, just sit with that for 1 second. And here's why: because I do think there's a couple different ways you can go through life. One of just like, I don't live in a story. There's nothing really greater. Let me consume what I have. Let me just try to survive and safely make it, to old age.
Yeah.
So I think that's one story.
Yeah.
Or a story of going, man, there are high stakes.
Yes.
There's an adventure. There is, there's possibility.
Yeah.
Like
This
I can be
moment
part
matters.
of something
Yeah.
that's really significant. Like that's not just Tolkien books.
Yep.
But there really is an
You're living
adventure
it.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that this
Yeah.
is our day and we're made for it.
So true.
And that has a way of like helping us all just pick up our heads a little bit when we can sometimes just kind of look down and think like, man, I'm just trying to make it paycheck to paycheck or day to day.
Yeah.
And it infuses back that sense of like, I'm living a life that has significance.
I bumped into a couple in our church. They're in their mid-60s on Sunday. And as they were walking out, they caught me, and they both had tears in their eyes. And they looked at me and said, I just can't believe I get to be a part of a moment like this. Yeah. And they're feeling that sacred stewardship of a moment like this, that the Lord has made us for a day, and he has made that day for us, and that we would get to step into that, be a part of that. It's all that Ephesians 2:10 stuff. It's before you were, God has prepared a set of works for us. And then he gives us this time and this space to step into those works. And I just can't think of anything better to do with a human life than to say, God, what are they? And let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and to Jimmy's point he was making earlier, I think sometimes even stepping back and going, it's amazing we get to be a part of a church that is being blessed with these kind of opportunities and not squandering them.
Yeah.
One of the defining parables we focused on a lot during All In was the parable of the talents. And
Matthew
so
25,
this is an opportunity that's being put in front of us. And what will we do with it?
Yeah.
It would be kind of easy at times to just bury what we have in the sand and go, we're good. instead of going, let's trust the Lord and
Yeah.
see how He wants to multiply it.
That's
So, let's get a little specific when we're thinking about folks inside of our church. What are our hopes for them? What are we asking for them to consider as they join us in Follow Me?
Well, I think you say it all the time. The first and loudest thing in us is that all of our folks would be 100% engaged in this, that we would have 100% participation, across the board. And that participation looks like all of us being willing to get before the Lord with our whole self, with all that we are, all that we have, and to lay all that before the Lord and saying, Lord, following you looks like me giving all of who I am to you, leaving nothing off the table. What would you have for me in this season? And if that was the result of this campaign, I mean, that you said it, I think, this past Sunday. I mean, when that happens across a group of 2,800 people, there's a word for that. It's called revival. And gosh, I sure would love to see that for literally like thousands of people to say, whatever you want, whatever you want, I'm in. And again, it's not even just about like whatever you want of my money. It's like whatever you don't have of my heart and my affections, whatever you don't have of my commitments to you. If Jesus really is our Lord, that's another word for king, master. Like if he's the guy that I submit my whole life to, it's like, okay, what parts of me aren't submitted to you? And I think this Follow Me initiative is a chance for us to take an honest assessment with the Holy Spirit of ourselves and go, what parts haven't I said they're yours to you? Yeah.
So true. Yeah, so true. Yeah, when I think of hopes, it is an amazing thing when a church can look at the Lord. And when I say church, it's like all of us individually that make up this church, look at the Lord and say to him, my life really is a blank check in your hands. Whatever you want, whenever you want it, God, we are just a yes to that. That is how the nations get reached through a church. That's how neighborhoods are blessed by Jesus. That's how the people of any general geographic area begin to meet Jesus, is when a whole church is before the Lord with that sort of a blank slate, open heart. God, we are just a rabid yes to. We're going to leap toward whatever it is that you, the Good Shepherd, would set before us. And man, that's what I'm praying for. And that means vocational things for many of our people. That means marriage things for a lot of our people. That means evangelistic and evangelism things in their neighborhoods for a lot of our people. That means some people uprooting their life and jumping in with the church plant. That means people giving their life to see the ends of the earth reached by the God. I mean, there's a million. That means fostering and adoption moments that are going to be happening across our church. When the Good Shepherd cultivates a heart to be able to say to him, I am just here to listen and to follow. All the things that should be happening in a church begin to happen. All the things Jesus wants in his people begin to take shape. And that is so what I'm asking for and praying for the Stonegate people.
Yeah, I love how you guys are expanding out, like what that means, like for us to be willing to say yes to Jesus with our resources, but also I think even sometimes with the calcified things in our heart that we've just felt entitled to hold on to for a long period of time, where the Lord has been nudging us, pushing on us for a long time of like, hey, will you follow me? And letting that go. Yeah. You know, I had a moment even just the other week. It was someone who's been a follower for a long time of Jesus, but just had a steadfast refusal still of like, I'm not willing to give up this grudge or this bitterness.
You bet.
And so for them, like Follow Me would have looked like of saying, Lord, I will follow you toward forgiveness and relinquishing bitterness.
That's so right.
But they're, you know, we can all do that, like create the justifications. We all have a really strong inner lawyer where we can come up with a rationalization of like, I'm still following, but I get to hold on to this one last thing.
That's right. You know, that old hymn, I surrender all. It takes us all about 3 seconds to realize we're often singing a lie when we say that, right? That we all want to hold on to various parts of our life and keep those things unsurrendered, you know? And this really is a season where I'm praying that the Lord would take us to a place where when we sing that song, it's actually true. You know?
Well, I'm going to have Brandon Curran on next week to dive into this a little bit more about how we can listen to the Lord and really hear him when he's speaking to us in these moments. But I want to give you guys a chance to respond to that, of just a question in general. If we are asking folks to get before the Lord, And maybe if our first inclination might even be defensive or a little resistant, or maybe even suspicious of something like follow me, what would be your pastoral counsel or encouragement for that? To encourage that person to go to Jesus and listen to them.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
I would say, one of the things that I'm always trying to keep a pulse on in my own spiritual journey is, what are the things that get under my skin really quickly in sort of like my encounter with God in the scriptures, or some exhortation from a brother or sister in my life, that I'm actually intrigued by the thing that bothers me, because to me, my impulse is to actually be suspicious of my botheredness, and to go, okay, well, I wonder if that's my flesh being provoked. And I think a good response to maybe that voice of resistance or hostility when we hear some of the challenges, even in this series, is I would love for our people's first impulse, mine included, to get curious about our resistances, and to explore if maybe that is the shepherd poking on a part of my life. Because we all know growing in the Christian life, sanctification does not feel like rolling in roses. It feels like, ow,
It's a fight.
and I'm angry. And why am I angry? And now I see that I'm holding on to something I shouldn't, and now I'm going to repent of that thing, and I'm going to move to this is what it feels like to grow as a Christian. So if you're experiencing those feelings in you, I'd say that's actually what you should see that more as a gift.
That's good.
You should look at that as an opportunity the Holy Spirit's giving you to circle that in your heart and to get curious about why that anger just got turned up really loud in me, and if there's maybe something there that God would have me give up and give over to Him.
That's good. I like that.
So good. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Jimmy. Yeah. I think it is always helpful for us to know that part of how the flesh is going to operate in any of our lives. So when we say flesh, we're talking about that old sinful part of us, that part of us that just has an innate suspicion toward God and the things He would want to do in our life. It's that old part of us. It has a very comprehensive set of defensive mechanisms, that we all feel. It's like, it doesn't take long for the Lord to start poking in areas of my life for me to feel this web of defensiveness come up between me and the Lord, and to keep Him out of certain areas that I don't really want Him prying around on, or I don't really want Him addressing in me. We all have that in us. And I think so much of us allowing those defenses to come down is to really believe that Jesus is a good shepherd. This is really where it's tested. It's really easy to say, I know Jesus is a good shepherd, without experiencing Him as a good shepherd. And part of how we experience Him as a good shepherd is to say, I really do know that you love me. I know you're not trying to kill me right now. You're really trying to help me right now. And I know I want to keep you out of these areas, but I'm going to trust you to be a good shepherd in my life. So I'm going to invite you in to the most sensitive areas of my life, and to give you space in here to bring some healing in this area of my life, to bring some help here, to uproot some idolatry in this area of my life, to do whatever that thing that me, the sheep, need in this moment, that I need you, the good shepherd, to come in and do. And so I do think there is a journey of recognizing, there's that web of defensiveness that just came up, and to see it as that, and then to let the good shepherd through it.
I like that. That's such good counsel from both of you. As we wrap up, let's give people dates or best ways they can join us, follow along through our Follow Me sermon series over the next month. What are the important dates we want to highlight for them?
Just a couple of things with that. One is to make sure you're here every Sunday. So this is such a huge time in the life of our church, and being here on a Sunday gets you right in the flow of all of that's happening. So make sure you're here on that. Secondly, to make sure you're in a group. So that's going to be meeting weekly, depending if you're in a group or in one of our Follow Me groups. That's going to be a little different on the dates, but all of that stuff is happening. So make sure you're in the know on that, and you're in a group during Follow Me. And then the two other big dates would be February the 16th. That is our advanced commitment night. So for anyone in our church who wants to go first with our core set of leaders at Stonegate, and that's really what this is. This is a leadership moment. So we would invite you. We would love to have you there that night. It's going to be a really special night. Shane B is going to come do some worship for us. It's going to be a great night. So we would love to have you there. That's February the 16th. And then February the 25th is when the whole of our church will make their commitment together. So that's going to be a really special day in the life of our church. So for sure, those two, February 16th, February 25th, are going to be some don't miss moments.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
Yep.
That's great. Well, church, we love you guys. We're super excited to see what the Lord's going to do in the rest of this sermon series and the next couple of years. And we're just trusting Him. But most importantly, and Rodney said this just last night, and we just try to lead with this kind of posture that throughout all of this, we want to be good shepherds for you. And our hope is you would hear and sense from us that we want something for you rather than from you.
Yeah,
and what we want for you is that you would follow Jesus, that you would learn to listen to His voice, that you would spend time with Jesus, that you would abide with Jesus, and that you would know He's a good shepherd and that you can trust Him along the way. Our pastors, our elders, we are available for you. We would be more than happy to meet up with anyone who wants to meet up with us. Come to your groups. Just reach out. You can leave a message right here on Facebook or just send us an email, and we would love to visit with you, answer any questions that we can, and any way that we can care for you guys. It's going to be a great month, and we'll catch you guys next week on the next episode.
Blessings, Stonegate.